Oh, I love it, but I couldn't breathe for about 2 seasons.
There's 2 months that my boyfriend has horrible, like, he ends up inside almost the entire time. When the cottonwood starts blowing,
Cottonwood.
it's really bad.
Yeah.
So far, it's been okay. I mean, nothing started this year so far.
Mhm.
We'll see how it goes.
It's
He
coming.
didn't used to have allergies, so. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the bummer about allergies. You can develop them at any time.
I had them all my
I
life.
didn't have them when I was younger, but I have them now.
Okay, are you ready, Rose?
Oh, yeah, it's ready.
Call the order.
Are we ready?
Can I just let you know really quick, I'm gonna put my recorder out here because sometimes I can't hear. And I'm gonna get up every once in a while and touch it to make sure it doesn't fall asleep. Is that gonna be too much of a distraction?
No.
That's fine.
Plus, you can always watch on.
You wanna
Zoom
come
if
sit
miss
over
it.
here? Yeah, but I was
Oh,
saying,
it's not Zoom, like this.
it doesn't, I don't pick up everything on it.
Just like this.
Sarah, come sit at the table.
Yeah, I wouldn't be on.
No, you
Yeah.
won't.
You just need to be really careful on that spot or you'll slide backwards.
And we can
All right.
shut the door because it's kind of loud.
Thank you. Yeah, just be careful that slips down and you'll.
Yeah, the ejecta seat area.
All right.
It's gonna be a foot park ride.
All right, so call to order. Jeremy, absent. Mark, absent. Kim here. Lori? Here. Peg? Here. Laura?
Yep.
Joe? Here. All right. Pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right. So adjustments to the agenda. Are we gonna, everything with Mark's name, or are we just gonna move it to next month?
I think it'd be a good idea to go right to new business and have Cory be able to present, so she didn't have to have.
Well, that's what, I agree with you. If Cory went and then Lori talked about the fundraising, then I think for this time, or Laura Lee could do the director's report, and then we could be finished today.
Okay,
We'll just move everything with Mark's name to next month.
That's okay by me.
All right. So let's let Cory go first.
Hi, Cory.
Hi, Cory.
Hi,
she's gonna call.
Are
can you guys hear me? I am not driving. Husband is driving.
That seatbelt is cutting you off. Take it off.
I know. Back seat. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, yep.
Okay, great. All right, so thanks for letting me zoom in March. We've had several missed connections. Literally last month I was on an airplane while you were meeting. So we were able to get the audit issued on time this year. So I'll start with that. And that's good news. We had one issue with an over expenditure, and Laura Lee and I have kind of talked about that at length about what could have been done differently. If I recall correctly, it was something that was a repair that kind of came in and needed to be paid. And so you just didn't get a chance to do a budget adjustment for it. Not something that I have a lot of concern over because I know that you guys do watch finances carefully. So just something that we have to note. In Oregon, you're either in compliance or you're not. And so just making sure that you do keep an eye on those. We had 2 journal entries. I'd like to tell boards that both of them were very minor. One is because you track your long-term debt on your balance sheet, and for budget basis, we don't do that. So we have to reverse that off every year. And the other one was a minor one to adjust property taxes to agree to Lynn County. That would be the receivables. And they just don't give you the information to be able to record that. So Tina relies on us to record that. And the reason I bring that up is because it means that the reports that you're getting monthly that you're using to make decisions off of, and it's budget season, so budget off of, are accurate. And that's a big deal. And so you can have some confidence in those numbers. So we appreciate that. If we're talking about results, the general fund ending fund balance, this is carrying into July of 23, was 427,000. All of the funds combined were 497,000. So the general fund carries most of that. And positive 40,000 for the year, and over was 68,000.
You're cutting out.
Did I hear a question?
No, you're
Oh,
just
okay. I was just
all that prior part. Sorry.
so no, that's okay. So the income, I was just going over the ending fund balance for the general fund is 427,000, and that's what carried into this fiscal year that you're sitting in. And then all of the funds together had just shy of $500,000. So the general fund does have most of that. And all of your funds were able to report a positive change in fund balance for the year. So that's really good. Yeah, pretty positive things. Did anyone have questions on anything you read or saw?
You named two things that were journal entries, but I didn't catch the second. Could you mention again?
Oh, I can, yeah. So we adjust your property tax receivables. Those get adjusted once a year, and we have to wait for the county to give us the data. And Lynn County doesn't calculate it for you. Almost every county we work with calculates it for the district and gives it to them. Lynn County does not yet. So we're hopeful that someday they will soon, but they don't. So
Thanks.
and those were very minor, Lori. I want to say just a couple $1,000. So
Yeah, I like
yeah,
numbers, and it sounds like another good report. Yay.
yes, yes.
Is that the conclusion?
That's all I've got. Y'all were nice and easy peasy this year.
Well, thanks so much.
Yeah, no problem.
And it's good to see you.
It's good to see you all remotely. All right. Thank you.
Bye. So we need to go back and approve last month's minutes. We didn't do that.
Oh, right. I read them over and I didn't find
Yeah,
anything.
Do you want to approve your fundraising minutes?
Yes,
Cause I just got them, but I have copies of them.
And I sent them out.
In the
Now,
minutes
who
tab.
is responsible to approve these? Our fundraiser committee
Well-
or this board? That's what I
So
wasn't
the
sure.
policy says that everything that the fundraising committee does has to be approved by the board.
Then very good. I did send out the minutes of our fundraising meeting.
I don't remember. Yeah,
What?
yeah,
Really?
that's why when
Okay,
you just said the
okay.
minutes, I'm like,
Oh,
well, I haven't
okay.
read those yet.
I think I have them.
Well, like,
For,
we
yes, I
have
do, I'm sorry. Okay.
Oh, were those, wait a minute. I made
It's, there's two sets of minutes. There's the regular board meeting and then the fundraising one. It they're in with the minutes.
Oh, in with
There.
this.
Yeah, they're just behind.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you've got copies?
Oh,
I made some at home. That's
there we
okay.
go.
All right.
So,
I'll
we,
give you this.
we probably need a minute.
Yeah, you
Oh,
do.
here, there's more than, I thought it was super thick, like you, cause you were giving me two. But it was like, it's gonna take us more than 5 minutes to read all.
Well, yes, I realize. I summarized it and we could. I don't know. You wanna look them over and see? I bet you don't find anything to edit.
There's no typos.
There's what?
No typos.
How do you know?
So, I read everything. You did a good job. The, Friends of the Malala Pool are 501. So what's this? Oh, well, you're gonna talk about the fundraising stuff, I can ask some questions. These minutes are fine with me. No, and again, this, the policy part, you have dates for the Lapapalooza and for this carnival. But just so that everything is how it's supposed to be, at some point, we need to vote on those to make it official. Well, that's just in the paperwork. So,
Yeah. Let's,
Well, I think you shared the dates of the swim funds, or the,
yes,
yeah, I think that was in the last
the,
meeting or the meeting.
which is
before.
now called Splash for Cash.
Yeah,
And the other one, the August one, that was right the other day.
so we just wanna make,
So-
so we just wanna make sure we do it with the vote, so
Let's
that
do
if
it.
anyone ever asks, it was part of what we
Yeah,
talked about.
yeah, I understand, let's do that.
Okay, I'm going to move that we accept the minutes of fundraising committee as presented.
Are you doing both of them? And the minutes from last month?
Well, I can do both, yes, we'll just, I do, so stated,
Okay,
both sets of minutes, so
I second.
okay.
All approved? Or
I
Aye. Who seconded? I did.
can.
it's the motion to accept the 22nd date.
No, if it's in the minutes.
Oh, it's in the
The 22nd day for what?
August for the carnival.
We have to do a vote for
No,
both.
if it's in the minutes, it's been accepted.
And
But the
Rose,
policy says that the fundraising committee has to bring things to the board to be voted.
Which you did, that, as outlined in the minutes. I'm
Well,
just,
let's,
Well, that's the, so you're saying we approve?
if you approve the minutes that state that the date is acceptable, then you've approved the date.
Well, we should have voted on it at the previous meeting, that's why it would be in the minutes. We didn't vote on it, we just talked about
It's in the minutes. And you guys just.
it's
approved
in the
minutes.
fundraising minutes, and I guess,
but she's saying,
we should have this board go ahead and vote on those dates. And I wanna clear something up, Rose, it's the 24th of August, okay. That's what I got. Saturday. So August 24th is going to be a carnival event, end of summer party, fundraiser.
And add the May.
And May 18th
Your splash.
is the Splash for Cash lap fundraiser.
Did you want to make a motion to approve those?
Oh,
dates?
yeah, I can, I move that we approve those dates, May 18th and August 24th for our Splash for Cash, and then our end of summer carnival.
well, I second
All right, all in favor?
I,
There's no one to oppose, so.
good thing.
I know, right? So that
Thank you.
takes care of that, and we already did Cory, so that leaves you, Lori, to tell us
All
all
right,
about the full motivation and fundraising. Which
boy, howdy. We,
we just read about, so you know.
no, I get to make a speech. We really have a dynamic group and a lot of help from just a relatively small number of people. Now, we hope to grow the number of people that will join the effort. We don't hope, we expect to do it. So I'm just gonna go through and summarize what more extensive notes are. First of all, we did have, I want to report that we had a second month in a row of, for technical reasons, we couldn't get the Zoom event going. So we were not online. I've already talked with Laura Lee, and I'm talking with other people. It would be nice to have a different computer. Well, not nice, we ought to, we need to. And so we'll work that out. In the marketing on there, we got this really nice brochure from Laura Lee, a one-pager. And then we discussed it at the fundraiser, and one of our members had already, well, they already had these in advance, and he brought back some recommendations and ideas that Laura Lee has now. So we want to get this more brief flyer up on the web page when like that is one of the goals, and that we're trying to push ahead. Okay, on the web page, excuse me. Oh, let me speak again. We are also in need of a little bit lengthier document that fleshes out more information. Our history and the board, all that has the board, and the programs that we have. We want to promote this pool and what it does. And anyway, we're working on it. For the web page, boy, we've talked about, and we're going to put a PayPal link. So Jill got me some good information about, we could right now get sign up and create a PayPal business account that will do for now. With a business account, they charge per transaction. It's just deducted from a donation. What we aim to do, and this is more toward the end of those minutes, is to set up a nonprofit foundation, the 501c3. I've spoken at length with Laura Lee, with the special district's attorney, with Tina Koopman of the accounting firm, and also Larry Mullins, just wondering his take on it. Well, boys and girls, we need to create this nonprofit foundation. That way we ensure that donations are tax deductible. The funds will be a whole separate thing that we will, whatever we raise, will go toward pool improvements. This foundation is expected to be ongoing. And so once we get past, say, this renovation that we're trying to tackle now, the needs will continue to upgrade and improve. So there's a lot of work, but we're doing it, and Rose is helping a good deal with that. We have to, let me, check my notes here if I have it. No, I don't. Yeah.
Are donations to the pool already not tax deductible?
There. They are, but this makes it very, professional, very clear. And we want to have that so that one of the things that'll open the door to are grants. There's a lot of there are a lot of grants available out there. But when it comes to the part of you gotta be a 501c3, we're out of the running. So for that reason, it's a good idea. But also, we will get approval from the IRS. In order to launch this, we get approval in the end from the IRS to be officially a tax exempt corporation. So we need to get a board of directors, minimum 5, and officers, a president, treasurer, secretary, and then a couple members at large. It could be bigger board, but 5 is the minimum. And there are steps to go through to draw up bylaws, conflict of interest policy, getting an EIN number from the IRS for our business, until we file for nonprofit and more. But Rose has a running start, and when I spoke with the attorney at Special District, she said it won't cost very much. It won't be expensive, but, and I don't mean but, and the special districts people can lend assistance in whatever.
I was just going to ask you a question. I'm sure that they have dealt with this exact thing with other groups, so they would have the expertise.
Yes.
And we use them, we use them.
Mm-hmm. Now, we don't have to go to a 501c3, but from talking with Tina Koopman, there's just some jockeying that has to be done with regard to the money. My questions about where we go is we're going to receive money, and how do we account for the money we receive, and how can we properly spend money for fundraising and account for that? I mean, is it part of the pool operations? Right now, until we get to this foundation established, we do have ways to handle it. And we will, because we've got a couple events coming up, heck or high water. So that is really a big deal, but we are all in on it. I spoke to we discussed the facility status report, and the 5 main areas that will be addressed are in this document here, just 5 main areas. And the thing about the facility status report is that it's taken from a list of things that the pool needs that aren't in the plans for this renovation. There are a couple of for instances. For instance, our starting blocks are over 40 years old, ancient. Now, I think I brought it up last meeting that our aim is to find sponsors for each of them and post their signs. There are further needs, like a private stall to change in the men's room, right? And we could go on and on. We just have a lot of needs on the list. But the main things that get us by will be these 5 areas. So in the Splash for Cash event, our guy Robert Waterhouse has come up with, I just got it today, a flyer. We wanted a flyer to advertise and encourage signups. So we have that, it's in color. And also, and I think with Rose's help, we got this sign-up sheet for participants, for who's gonna, pledge laps.
Okay, while we're on that subject, Terry. 5 days a week, we have deep water jogging people doing laps. Can they be included in that list? They're not swimming, but they're doing laps in the pool.
We would let,
That says it, I'm sorry to interrupt.
go ahead,
It says walk, swim, jog.
Yeah.
Yeah,
whatever
it's everything.
level a person comes with. And if we can count it as a lap, we're going to count it as a lap. And so we want everybody to join in. We almost opened it up to have a cannonball contest, but we not yet. So we wanted to have fun, and we will. We're gonna need volunteers. Go ahead.
No, it was just clarifying for.
We're gonna want to get volunteers, but that'll be an ongoing thing to schedule our events, recruit volunteers and market. So we are working on it. On the yard signs deal, something that the fundraiser committee wanted from the get-go. Let's do yard signs. Everybody will want to do it. Well, so it costs money initially to order yard signs. We have some graphic designs that we could go with, we can develop. But we have an existing 10 or 12 signs here. I think we got 25. Oh, okay. I like to get that count because I hate to see those just sit in a closet. And so what we determined we should do is to, and it's my job to seek out a person to make stickers that will add at the donation page. And whatever, we can add QR code. So then I spoke of the 501c3 and my final subject here is the end of summer carnival. August 24th, a Saturday, be all day. Now we expect to get games and food carts, food booths, maybe even craft tables. The more the merrier. We spoke with, Rose has a contact, well, she has all the contacts. Anyway, we had a brief meeting with that person and who has experience for years and years. And he says we could, what kind of goal will we set? He thought that a $20,000 goal is not out of reach. So I was kind of like, whoa, because then it'll mostly come from what I understand the food carts. We will charge them, or they will pay about $350 for the space to come and sell their things and the time, yes.
Will they do their own advertising for that, or will we have to do that? That they're gonna be here.
I would say with our advertising, we want to then start featuring who's gonna be here, what food booths. As far as the other, I expect them to do too. One place I've contacted already, cause we're kind of cozy with them, is Hangry Solution. And I asked, do you still have a food truck? Well, they do, it's parked in a yard. And they are considering they're interested to break it out for the end of August. And they make good food. But there's many others. We have some, well, we got some sources, some lists. So this, we also might have, some of the possibilities is a monster truck there that can give rides, take pictures, whatever. And that leads to the idea, well, maybe even a car show. Well, let's see, what I understand is that we can use the pool parking. Is that correct?
Well, yes,
Probably.
I mean, if you wanna have a whole bunch more things, then we need to get all that
Yes.
confirmed.
So, and that is my point. We have some bigger ideas than just a small space, so we've got to check with the school to see if that's possible.
You have to get any kind of a permit from the city.
We will find out. This just really came up, and it's something though that, well, came up as far as, having fleshing out some ideas, setting a date, talking with somebody with good advice. So we're encouraged, and we're gonna move forward with that. Anyway, that is my conclusion. Yeah, I showed you
Good
everything.
work, really great. Thank you so much for doing that.
Thank you.
Right, okay, so we can jump into some financial statements. It's been a couple months. So,
Copies.
yeah. I have mine.
Yes, please.
I just printed off too, the balance sheet and then the general fund profit and loss.
No, I want, I printed mine.
And then if Sarah wants.
Always like mine.
Okay,
And
so
that one, I have the balance sheet still.
I don't have a January balance sheet because basically everything then was totaled for February. So, and we have money in the bank. So there's over 500,000 in the money market, which now, if you were to look at the money market, there's like $30,000 in there because I had transferred over a chunk to LGIP. So then starting next month, we'll start getting LGIP reports too. And we already got interest payment too. I looked in there last week and I wanna say we got like $400 or $300. I mean, it was,
Bonus.
yeah, so I'm
That's
just like,
great.
wow.
That's great.
So anyways, that was cool. So we'll start seeing those reports too. And then the swim club checking account is just over 35. And then of course, we have some petty cash on hand and all that good stuff. And so basically the balance sheet is just showing you that we have some actual liquid money right now.
Pretty funny for a pool.
Yeah, right. I gotta throw in those pool related analogies, yeah. Anyways, so we can go on unless anybody has any questions, but, I will point out that, so, I had mentioned a few months back that would recommend that we transfer some money out of the swim club checking account into the general fund to help pay back. Because the swim club is essentially, running in. They owe the general fund basically, and we can see on the report, but I can't clean them out. But I figured I'd transfer over like 18,000 to help offset some of the money that they owe the general fund. So, okay, so now moving on to this one. This has January in the first column and February in the second column, and then the third column, of course, is our year to date. kind of against the budget numbers. And, so if you go all the way, well, sort of almost all the way down. Well, like for instance, admissions, I thought this was interesting. I mean, our admissions for January and February were pretty close. Yeah, and then almost 80,000 in admissions, total admissions so far year to date. And then if you go over to the second page and look at total programs, we're right at almost just under 130,000. And so we literally only have, 60,000 to go, 60,000 and change. And there's 4 months left of this fiscal year, so.
Divided by 4.
Yeah, if you divide that by 4, we're gonna be over that. I mean, we should be, so that is nice. And then, of course, if you look at the expenses, we've got, there's nothing too crazy. And then, if you go to the second page, well, actually the third page. We obviously are, like pool chemicals, that's something that, I ended up having to add quite a bit more this year than in previous years because just the prices of everything that we use has just really gone up, especially in pool chemicals. And part of that is not so much the product, but, they charge you all these extra fees with delivery and then hazmat fees and just, even just to get, the CO2 delivered. Basically it's this big tank, they hook up this hose, they fill up our tank and they drive away. But when you look at the bill, there's all these extra kind of like delivery service. Anyways, but everybody's starting to really do that. And so, that's some of the things that we just can't really avoid. And so then, the other thing that I kind of keep a track of certainly is personnel. And, if you, as far as like on the fringe side of stuff, the only thing that we're probably gonna go over on that side is PERS. I had budgeted just over 70,000 and we have right now just under 15,000 left for the fiscal year. But, if you divide 14,000 by 4, we're going to be over. But, we probably aren't going to hit all these other things exactly. So we'll probably be fine. But anyways, and that again is just, it's hard to, figure exactly what you're going to spend on first, because as you have people that keep working here, they eventually get on PERS, and then, so it's that, we have fairly low turnover for a pool, which is a good thing, which is something that I really want to keep going, is not have high turnover and staff. But it just means that people come available or come eligible to PERS. Okay, so that I wanted to bring out, and then also the part-time temporary. We budget 190, and if you look at the 64,582, divide that by 4, we should be, right around that mark. And then, the head lifeguard position, I technically do not have a full-time head lifeguard this year. And so that's where we took that $25,000 that we took out of personnel and we put it into capital, with the resolution that we passed last night. Anyways, so we should be right in there with our personnel. Right. And then, we paid out 50,000 and change. That was the first payment on the new boiler. And, we're supposed to start that next week, and we'll be shut down for 2 weeks while they do that. And, the reason that it's gonna take longer than just throwing an old one out and putting the new one in is because they have to cut a new couple holes into the ceiling. They can't just put in the same, they can't put the same flue up through the same thing. Of course, it's gotta be different. And then we have 2 boilers now too, so,
And
Will
so,
that fix the leaking issue you were having with the ceiling when they do that?
yeah, it should. I hope so. I mean, cause it's quite a big puddle out there right now, and
And-
it's been dry for a couple days.
when you think about it, you're taking brand new equipment and installing it in a 67-year-old facility. So you've got to
Right.
jerry rig in order to make it work. I mean, they
Yeah.
don't fit perfectly. So it's gonna take some effort
Yeah,
to make
and
that work.
that's why it's taken, because there's a lot of chopping out and then reconfiguring, like you said, for the new equipment. Yeah, so that's why we're gonna be shut down for 2 weeks, getting all that done. And then the other thing is too, is that, the current VFD where it's at, they probably, I think, need to move it because it's gonna be too close to some of the equipment. So they've just gotta move stuff around in there, and that takes more. The variable frequency drive, it's just the thing on the motor that makes the motor go, slows down or speeds up.
Have you
To
found,
save money.
have you found a solution to the?
The controller?
Yeah.
Well, we had NCC come down. They were here last week and spent like a whole day, and he was able to find a actuator that was actually not working right, and that was part of our problem. And then he got in and changed some parameters of the controller, and it seems to be helping. So, yeah. And then the other thing too, that I have not seen the bid for this, but honestly, it should maybe be a couple $1,000, but so where they have this sensor that, you know, just like a thermostat in your house, right? If you stick your thermostat right above a heat register, then when your furnace kicks on, it's gonna heat that, and then it's gonna turn itself off. And it's gonna say, oh, your whole house is 80 degrees now, when really down at the other end of the house, you're freezing cold. Well, that is kind of what's going on in the locker rooms. The sensors that measure the temperature are in terrible spots. And so, for instance, you have the cold air coming in from outside, comes into the space, then you have the warm air coming up, and the sensor is right there, but it's right over the women's locker room. You know that big grate where the showers are, not the locker room, where the showers are.
And yeah, blowing cold air this morning.
Well, that's a different issue, but, but.
Well, that's another issue.
I know, but that just, whenever, I'll get to that in a second, but.
Okay,
So if you take that big vent off right above the showers, in that ducting, that's where the sensor is. Well, so the steam from the showers will tell it it's actually warmer when it really isn't, and then the cold air coming down, anyways. So NCC, the fellow at NCC suggested that we get a bid to re-plumb those sensors. Put them in the actual locker room part and not in the shower room part.
Yeah.
Cause we've literally been, fighting this problem ever since I can remember.
and Jim gets sick and tired of hearing this tell him.
Well, he does. So anyways, and when I talked to the guy at NCC, he said, you know, it's probably like 2 days worth of work and some controller time. And he said, you're probably looking at maybe $3,000 or $4,000 to do both lockers. And I'm like, oh, we'll do it. So, but in the meantime, we're having it look at different parts of the information, and that seems to be working.
And it'll
So
work
it's-
with the, I'm so sorry,
Go ahead.
it'll work with the new boiler. the
Oh, yeah.
Controller, okay.
And is that why there is a thermostat sitting on the shelf in the women's locker?
Well, we moved that thing around because it'll tell us one thing and then we're like, no, it is not, 85 degrees in here. Or you look at the controller and the controller is cranking out the heat and it says, oh, the space temp is only 67 and it should be 74. And you walk in there and it's 85. I've had that happen. So, but that was because the actuator wasn't working, so. But now the thing this morning is, there's units up on top of the roof,
Yeah, Jim was up there.
and, well, anytime we get a power bump, that thing might go off. And then you have to manually go up, climb the ladder, get on the roof, and go inside that unit, and it's like a GFI, an internal GFI, you know how like your GFI in your bathroom or your kitchen, it might trip, and you have to push that little reset thing? It's essentially just like that, but you have to physically go up there. That's what happens.
Well, it's happened more than once because
Well,
poor Jim, he ends
yeah.
up on there, because we say, oh my God, there's cold air blowing down on us
Right,
in the
and-
showers.
and, yeah, and like if I walk through in the morning and I feel that, I know exactly, that stupid little thing tripping it, so. But it takes turns, sometimes it's the men's, and then sometimes it's the women,
It's
so. And they have the issue too, it's just today it was only the women. Cheryl. Yeah, okay, so, as far as financials, I think things look pretty good. And I don't have anything else on the financials, if anybody has any questions.
Can the, community event money be used for the flash room
Sure.
in case they wanna put a little bit of advertising out, that at least give
Yeah.
them funds to do
Yeah,
that?
I mean, we have a couple areas, and I mentioned to Lori, like, for instance, we have money under advertising. And it just says advertising, and we even have money designated for radio advertising. And so if we wanna, you know, radio advertise the carnival or the Splash
We
Guys,
will,
we could do that, you know. Yeah, we are gonna be at the Biz Expo, Jill's reminding me, we can have flyers there too.
When is that?
It's April something, isn't it?
It's usually beginning of April. I have to get a signed up.
In a couple of weeks.
And then another thing that we do every year that is in May, it's like the middle of May that the the school district does that sources of, Sources of Strength Wellness Fair. Yeah, we do that every year. That's really a lot. But the weather can just be super iffy that day. Oh, and it can be freezing cold or windy or rain or nice. Because May is.
It's outside.
crazy. Yeah, it's outside. But, okay, so here's a few things I have in my, okay, so I mentioned the boiler. Oh, Energy Trust. So I don't know if you remember, but a couple months ago, I said that I was contacting Energy Trust of Oregon to see if there was any energy incentives in the, you know, basically money for replacing the boiler. And so I filled out all the paperwork, and then they actually sent an engineer over last week. He was on site, and they looked at everything, and now they're gonna crunch their numbers, and they feel pretty optimistic that we could get some kind of incentive. I don't know yet, but even if it's, you know, $5,000 against the 88 is still 5,000 or 10,000, whatever. So anyways, I'm just, you know, hoping that it'll be really high. So they were out, I'll find out more on that. And then, oh, the other thing was the city of Lebanon called, and they talked to me a couple weeks ago, and so there's urban renewal districts, right, throughout the town. And one of the urban renewal districts is actually an area of our taxing district. Well, this urban renewal district was set to expire in 2032, but they decided that if they used more money now over the next 4 years, they could pay that thing off a lot sooner. So what it's gonna mean is we're going to see about $12,000 less in property tax money starting this next year, or 2024, okay? But it's only gonna hit us for these 4 years, and then it'll go away, and then we'll actually get quite a bit more. And we generally see about an $18,000 or more increase every year, just because of property tax values and you know, things are steadily climbing. And so, you know, I mean, yeah, that losing that $12,000 it's in the grand scheme of things, it's not gonna be that painful, I don't think. And they've already kind of like, you know, as I'm figuring out the budget right now for this next year, the draft budget, you know, I've already just took that out of there. So anyways, but it's just 4 years and then we'll have a lot more money after that. Okay, that was one thing. And then the other thing was that the Lynn County Health Inspector, they come about every 6 months, and they were here. And he told Jim and I both that, he's like, really? He goes, whenever I do pools, I always come out here first because you guys will be just quick and easy. You'll never have any violations. Your pool's always awesome. The water's like sparkling. And, you know, so he's like, I always come here first. And that's true because he usually shows up, when he shows up, he's always like in the morning. And anyway, so
Nice.
that is what you want to hear from your health inspector,
Yeah.
that, like, you know, if he had favorites, I think.
Your halo is getting square, right?
Yes, yes. He was like, your place is so boring. And I'm like, okay, but coming from you, boring is good.
Yeah.
He's like, yes, it is. So anyways, that, I just thought I'd put, I never remember to mention these here because it's so uneventful. You know.
Better than you bringing us violation notices.
Yeah, yeah. I know, in fact, I was like, man, if Nate, his name's Nate, I'm like, man, Nate, if I knew you were coming, I could have thrown something in the pool. Anyway, but it was great. We still like tried to talk him into getting a therapy cat for the office, and he did say no.
And we'll keep trying.
I know, we just gotta wear it down. So
He
that's,
didn't say no, he just laughed.
well, he laughed, but then it was like, no cats. It's discriminatory because dogs are.
drown in the middle of the night.
Yep.
All right, so remarks from the directors, I have nothing.
I guess I don't have any, well, there was one little thing I meant to mention when I was giving my fundraising report, and that's about when we become a 501c3, we can change our PayPal link to be one of an official fundraiser, a nonprofit 501c3, and then we won't be charged for transactions. With no limits on how much we can get through that. So that's another,
Yeah, one comment, it to totally dovetail off what we were just talking about with the PayPal and all of that. So Jill and I's hesitation to putting any kind of a payment button on our website is we are going to get parents who will sign up for lessons. Only they will pay on that thing. I'm telling you now, they will, okay? Or somebody,
my gosh.
somebody is gonna be like, well, I paid for a pass, and of course, we're gonna be like, when? Well, you know, and then sure enough, it's gonna be, well, I did it at, you know, midnight the other night online. So that's why, just personally, I'd rather we wait, because right now, somebody could call us up and just pay, I mean, we'll take their credit card payment over the phone and we'll do it. And it'll be the same cost, whether they do this PayPal
I
thing.
gotcha, and sure, and
So-
this flyer advertising our first event recommends you come, you give, you know, to the pool.
It just would
for
be
that.
best if it was.
I mean, if we're a few months
Separate.
away from doing this 501c3 organization thing, then to me, it would just, I'm just telling you now,
Yeah,
as much signage and whatever information we can put out there, I guarantee you, somebody is gonna pay for something that,
In the wrong place.
yes,
They will, it'll happen, so we need to keep it, we just really need to make sure that it is extremely clear whether it's a different little website or a link to a new.
Where that button is going to be, could it say donations for pool improvement
Yeah, I can say whatever
Say
you
anything
need.
you want.
Maybe that would make it clear with mine.
Are you planning on ever doing online payments from here?
So we've looked at that, but the problem is our point of sale system is, they're all expensive for one thing. They're ridiculous, okay? And we would have to go to a totally different, point of sale system to do that on the website. And the cheapest one out there was like 15,000, seriously. We've looked at it.
Maybe we could fundraise and donate that.
Well,
It'll
I
take
mean,
a couple
we-
years.
I mean, I figure we'll get to that point. But, I mean, right now, it just, I mean, the website already cost us like 4,500 or thereabouts last year. And so then to add another, 10,000 or more to do a totally different point of sale system so that we can do online, because it's not just online payment, it's online registration. So, because it's
Yeah,
too
that-
confusing to, because we do registration for the swim lessons, it's all in-house. So we're signing people up, but then when you call for lessons, you're paying over the phone. Whereas if that's why it's expensive, because it's not only just a point of sale system, but it's an online registration system. Like, for instance, I don't know if any of you have looked at Albany, City of Albany, you can only, Corvallis is the same way. You can't just go in and pay for swim lessons for Johnny in person, you have to do it online. And so it's not only is it paying online, but it's that whole registration part. And health clubs and all those schools, gyms, they all use
You're saying Osborne in Corvallis does
it's
that?
all
Okay.
online, it's all online.
But
And
they're all
it's-
part of the city, see, the city has.
Right.
Oh, that's
all-
right.
See, the city
That's
has all of
right.
this,
Right.
and it's like the police use it in the water, just uses it in the
Right.
pool.
And see, that's why I don't have anybody I could partner with to make it less expensive. But basically, the city of Albany uses Explorer Rec, but they used to use, Rec One.
Yeah.
And then, Corvallis they use a different one. But I can't remember, but they're not super user friendly. They take a lot of training to be able to roll them out to do it.
But it's sort of inevitable in the
And-
future.
And see, the other thing is, if you look at our program guide, we literally have 30 different combinations of things you could purchase, right? I mean, you have, and it's broken down into senior, youth, adult, right? Well, then you have in-district, out-of-district. And so that's why it's expensive
So you
too,
have
because
one day,
it's not
3
just
months.
like an admission, right? It's admission depending on what group you're in and whether you're in the district or not. So.
Someday we will.
Right. Anything else? Comments from the audience?
Well, I'm just hearing, I wish I could talk, I have ideas, but, well, I was thinking about the QR code to bring them to a website, can't your web page have a separate page, just like we have on the bar, you have on the top of the bar that says, so look at board meetings, but here, so couldn't you have a page that's for the fundraiser only? And that look on that page is completely different, it looks like a flyer, and it's very clear this is just a fundraiser page, and then that's the only place you have it.
That's what we don't have to do.
That is our vision too. That is what we're.
We have a really good, Hype Digital is they designed our webpage. And I talked to Kendall, who, I don't know.
He's
what
like
position he is,
one
but
of the main guys.
he said what we would do is that he would put a completely different page, just like you're saying. And you would, so if you're on our website, you could get a link to go to that page. And then,
It's connected at the same time.
so it's connected, it's not dummy proof, but it'll work.
And did I hear you, were you you saying that you're using the same web, whatever, how that works, that the city is using?
No, most park and recs are run by a city. So that's why, like, the Albany pool didn't have to spend, you know, hours, because the whole city of Albany bought it. And so like, they're now using that Explorer rec. Yeah, and same with Osborne, like, you know, it's the same point of sale system and online registration that the city of Corvallis uses that Osborne uses.
So it will be all,
But
pools.
most of these, like, really nice systems for, you know, online payment and registration, like classes or stuff. They don't make like a light version for just a small little pool. You know, so we've looked at them, like, they're nice ones out there.
Well, when we go to that, we want it to work for
Yeah.
everything we just talked about too. And it will. Because we're good like that. Kim, I think you have done a great job. You know,
With
Chair.
that,
Wait,
Okay.
Rose?
Oh, I just wanted to share, Bill in the comments, but that he said, we are very thankful for the new heater and appreciated Mark bringing in the secondary heater when it's so cold.
Thank you.
All right.
so with that, I'm going to move that we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
All right. Good to see you, Bill.
See you in
Thank
the morning, Bill.
I say, cool.
No, our fundraiser meeting was